Hi, Grace.
Hi, Tyler.
We've been talking about fire a lot around here lately.
We have. But last month was a little different conversation about fire. That was about preventing.
With Chief Rob.
With Chief Rob, we were talking about preventing fires. But now we're kind of talking about starting fires.
Kinda.
Yeah. But for good, for healthy reasons, we're starting fires.
And I think we even mentioned it a little bit. You said it, I think, in that interview. You were like, there's only one good fire and it's a prescribed fire.
And it's prescribed fire.
A lot of people are, maybe you're like us where you've heard about prescribed burns.
Mm-hmm.
You might not know what happens during one or how, any of the specifics, but you know the gist.
Right. Why do we even need prescribed fire?
Right. Maybe you don't know about it at all. Then you see smoke coming out of the forest one day and you think,
you get a little concerned.
Yeah. So information is helpful, powerful tool. So I think we should bring in Allison and Steve and pick their brains about prescribed fire. What do you think?
Yeah, let's light this match, spark this fire. I'm getting worse. Let's talk to him though.
Okay.
Hello, Hillsborough.
All right, we've got Allison and Steve with us today. We're going to be chatting all things prescribed fire today. How are you guys doing?
Good. Thanks so much for having me.
Doing very well. Thank you.
Steve, we'll start with you. Tell us what your job is with conservation, why you love working here.
Yeah. So Steve Raymond, I'm the Regional Land Management Coordinator for the Environmental Lands Management Department. I also supervise the wildland fire crew. So that's a crew of 6 individuals whose focus is on prescribed fire. A lot of what we do is like getting units ready to burn or making them safer if there's a wildfire. So we put in fire breaks, we trim back the trails, we take out hazard trees as needed. That's just to help out with in case there's a wildfire. But really what we're trying to get to is to do a prescribed fire. And with a prescribed fire, we'll look at an area to try to determine if it needs to be burned and then how to safely do so. So we'll look at like its location and where hazards around it, like houses or structures or other things that we don't want to put smoke on. And then we'll write a prescription, just like a doctor writes a prescription for medicines. We'll write a prescription that includes like wind direction, what kind of weather we're looking for, whether it could be dry or be wet, the humidity, if we want higher humidity so it burns slower or lower humidity so it burns faster. And then we'll write all that down and then wait for the day and do all of our prep to get it ready. And then when everything lines up, the weather's good, the unit's prepped, we have enough crew and equipment to do it, then we'll put in for an authorization with forestry. That's kind of more of a permission. Like they don't really like give us that permission. It's kind of a notification. So we give them the notification that we're going to be doing this. They say, okay, we got you. They give us an authorization number. We round up all the people, get all the equipment going, fill everything with water, and then we go out and do it.
Is the authorization just to sort of make it official so that when there's smoke in the air, people know?
Correct. So if they call fire or sheriff or something like that, they'll go back to forestry and say, hey, do you know about this burn? And they'll say, oh yeah, we gave this authorization. Here's the burn boss and their contact information.
Ooh, who's the burn boss? That sounds like an intense, Tony Soprano kind of vibe over here.
Yeah.
Or a barbecue restaurant.
Welcome to the burn boss.
That's right. I'm sure that's out there somewhere.
No,
it's probably trademarked. Yeah. So the burn boss is the person with the level of experience and training in order to write the prescription. Technically, anybody can write it, but the final signature and who carries it out is considered the burn boss. And that requires a certain level of training. There's classes that we have to take to get to that level. And then we have to do 2 to 3 burns under another burn boss, like as a burn boss trainee. And then that last burn, forestry will come out and we call it our cert burn or certification burn. And they'll be there asking questions, looking through the prescription, watching how you do the burn. And if they're good with what you did, then you get your burn number. And then you become the burn boss.
So the burn boss is almost like the pharmacist writing the prescription.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess that would be the doctor writing the prescription.
Well, the pharmacist is fulfilling the prescription.
Fulfilling. There we go. That's okay.
And the pharmacist has to be able to read the doctor's handwriting.
Yeah.
Allison, you've been here before, but let's give us a refresher on your job and how it relates to prescribed fire.
Absolutely. So I work for CELM, the Conservation Environmental Lands Management Department, and I help oversee our public outreach. So I do festivals, guided hikes, the newsletter, working with our social media team, getting flyers out for our events. So pretty much anything that the public sees is coming through me in some way.
Volunteers too, right?
Yes, I manage the volunteer program.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You get a little taste of everything in CELM then. That's very cool.
It's very fun because I get to highlight all the cool work everyone else is doing. So, I get to talk about amazing restoration projects way down in South County at Cockroach Bay. I get to talk about what the burn crew has been up to over in, the Plant City, Lower Green Swamp region. I get to talk about all the wildlife we're seeing constantly up in the Brooker Creek, like Keystone area. So I'm all over the county just teaching people everything going on in our department.
You seem like you'd be really passionate about that, even if you didn't work here.
Yes,
So
I've been doing outreach for a long time.
I'm just curious, how far back does this go? I mean, do you know when just people started doing prescribed fire? When was that discovery made that was going to be a good idea?
So probably when we first figured out fire, when the human race first figured out fire.
Okay, so just a little
way
time
back.
ago.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different theories out there. There's a lot of different papers on this, but my feeling is once we saw the benefits of fire, like back when we were coming out of the cave, that's when we started using prescribed fire. We just didn't call it that. It was just a fire, fire.
What are the benefits of a prescribed fire?
So in opposed to a wildfire, like a wildfire can move through very quickly, very uncontrolled. It can really zap a lot of the vegetation that's out there, including the trees and the critters. With a prescribed fire, we usually try to run our ignition pattern to where we're allowing time for the fire to move through a system that's not too intense. Typically, there's some ecosystems out there that will only burn on an intense fire. That's kind of nuanced stuff, but the benefits of a prescribed fire is we can put a fire through a system and reduce the amount of fuel that's out there. And what fuel is just any of the down and dead trees, needles, leaves, stuff like that, that's on the ground that's available to burn. That's what we consider fuel. So we're reducing the fuel loading out there by putting a prescribed fire through it. And what benefits a prescribed fire is we're doing it under conditions that are conducive to not have a wildfire. So we could put in a fire behind like houses or something like that with the right wind direction to keep the smoke and the heat away from the houses and still get the objectives of reducing the amount of fuel out there. So lowering the risk of a wildfire and increasing the regrowth. So Florida, we all say that we're the lightning capital. I think it's of the US, not of the world, but lightning capital. Fires started here on their own all the time. Since we started developing Florida, we put in roads and houses and subdivisions and malls and stuff like that. So the energy of the fire can't just carry across the state anymore. So now we have to go in order to save or perpetuate those ecosystems that grew with fire. We have to burn them on smaller, what we call management units. So we'll take an area, put those fire breaks around it, and then burn that safely. And then go on to the next one and burn that and burn that. And the regen that comes back after a fire is just that. You asked why, or that's what gets me is in certain times of the year, especially in like the growing season, we'll see growth within like 6-12 hours.
Wow.
So we'll send a fire through.
Crazy.
Yeah. It looks like a moonscape. It's all black. And then you come back the next day to check your burn. And there's a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch or sometimes an inch of growth on the grasses already.
Wow.
I was thinking
That's
it
how
would be
quick.
like 2 years and then you'd see some. That's
No.
crazy. One day.
But that's Florida.
Oh, it's
other-
not like that in other places.
No, it's
Okay.
not. Yeah. There's other places like out west that are more arid, like a
Mhm.
drier climate. Their response to fire is a lot longer. But in Florida, since we're, tropical, subtropical, our stuff comes back quick. And that's what's added into them saying how often we need to burn. Because we're seeing the response in the vegetation. So they're like, oh, well, we should be burning on a 1 to 3 year return interval. So every 1 to 3 years, we'll burn these habitats and then we see the response.
Let's put ourselves in the shoes of people that are there on the ground that day.
Yeah, how big is your team? What's that look
Each
like?
person has a job. I know we talked about the burn boss, but what equipment do you use and how do
Sure.
you control it? Because I think the first thing that hits my head is what if it gets out of control and you can't stop it? You know?
So the day of the burn, we have a fire standard. And in our fire standard, we say that you need at least 6 crew. That's like the safest, what we feel is the safest thing to do. There are certain burns that will burn with less people than that. And there's a lot of burns that will burn with a lot more people than that. But usually 6 is about the bottom number. We'll assign in the morning who's going to get the equipment ready as the burn boss is getting the prescription ready. So the burn boss has to pull the spot weather, which is a weather forecast for a given location. Like you go on this map, you hit a button and it puts a point on a map. And then the forecasters will actually look at that point and make a forecast based on that point. So it's a little bit more than like the county average or what you get off Bay News 9 or whatever on the news. It's a locational forecast. And that's what we'll go with to make our decisions if it's a go, no go day. So they're doing that. And then we have the burn boss has to do notifications. So we'll notify the fire, HCFR, and we'll notify any landowners in the area that we know. A lot of our places have cattle leases, so we'll let the cattle leasee know. So while the burn boss is doing all that stuff, the crew gets an assignment to get the equipment ready. And by getting it ready, they're making sure that the tanks on our brush trucks have water in them, that they have fuel in the truck. There's fuel for the pump that runs. And then, water coolers. I mean, they're just like getting ready. And then once everything is good and we have our authorization number, then we'll come together and have a briefing. And in that briefing, we'll go over the objectives of the day, where we're burning, who's going to do what, like give out assignments, what time we hope to be done, remind everybody to bring their lunch, that kind of stuff. Stay hydrated, watch out for biting, stinging stuff, toothy stuff. And then we'll go out and conduct the burn. So as far as assignments go, there's that morning stuff. And then on the fire line itself, so you have the burn boss that's kind of watching the whole thing. And typically we'll assign 2 positions called a line boss. And the line boss kind of runs one side of the fire or the other side with ignition. So we kind of have a leadership ladder out there. And the point of that is then the burn boss doesn't have to go and tell all other 5 people what to do or, check in. They can check in with just 2 people. And then those people check in with their people. So we kind of have like an accountability thing. So
how often are you doing these burns? Like, is it a couple times a week, once a month? Is that like a seasonal kind of decision?
I think we kind of average about 45 to 50 burns a year.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's more than I thought.
Yeah. And I've been leading about 30 to 35 burns a year for the last 10 years with the county.
Okay.
Hi, Allison. What do you notice that are when you're communicating to the public about prescribed fire versus forest fires? What are some telltale things you tell people to look out for?
Well, I don't know that I talk about that so much with the public. I think that most of my public education around prescribed fire is some of what we've touched on. I mean, we even started, Steve kind of just said it too with like, what do you mean you're lighting the woods on fire? You're doing it on purpose? People are out there on purpose lighting the woods on fire? Why would they ever do that? So my public education is really focused around the benefits that we talked about. How these communities but how our ecosystems have adapted with fire all this time. As Steve mentioned, we see really exciting blooms. So that's something I talk about with the public a lot is, in particular, we have pine lilies. They're called Catesby's lilies as well. And that's, I think, maybe one of the things our department is most excited about. I mean, we will literally stop our work every day that they bloom and go look at them and take pictures of them. And it's totally acceptable in the office when it's pine lily time to drop your work and go see them because they're so special and they're a fire adapted species. Actually, one of my favorite slogans is good fires prevent bad fires. So
I like that.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot in my programming, just helping people understand that when we're out here, quote unquote, burning down the woods, we're actually helping reduce that fuel load and helping keep people safe.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think you've been out too to the festival y'all do where you actually demonstrate to people. And I thought, they're just going to do it like a mile away and people can see the smoke. And no, we were sitting on the ground in the forest and y'all are just like story time. In front of so here we go, dip and
you like feel the flames and everything. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like Steve, my job's a little bit different. So as a quick aside, I do outreach for CELM. And what's so special about that is I get to highlight what folks like Steve do. So I'm always talking about our land managers and how we do restoration. It's not all fire, but I've also been bit by the fire bug. So
are you out there on the line?
Yeah, actually, we get to set a personal goal each year, and my personal goal is just to burn, which I don't need to be out there burning, but I enjoy it so much, and it really helps inform the festival. So the festival is my passion project personally. Prescribed Fire Fest is in February of every year. We had it in January in the past, but we've moved it since then, and it's just an incredible day to help show the community how the fires work. It's really neat what Steve was describing with the leadership on the fire line and how they have, ignition crews and maybe holding crews and things like that. So Steve will personally, the last couple of years at the festival, he's actually been on microphone, and everything he just taught you, he teaches the general public. So we have, like you said, an audience that's only I think they're like 40 feet from the fire. Yeah, like 40 feet from the fire. And they can heat. So Steve teaches, the whole process of the prescription and everything. And then one of my favorite little festival upgrades is last year we got some tech that allows you to hear the whole crew speaking on the radio. So you really feel like you're
cool.
Yeah, you really feel like you're part of it because you can hear, go for ignition or, the current weather update or everything that the crew would be experiencing. You get to experience too.
And the kids love it. I noticed that when I went, the kids eat it up.
Yeah. Something we've put a lot of focus on is expanding our kids area at the festival. So we have a whole bunch of games. Actually, one of my favorite parts of the festival is that the kids can get a passport. And they have to check off the essential skills to become a junior wildland firefighter.
That's
that
awesome.
Is so cute.
So they have to go play at least one game, and we do a hose roll challenge where they're learning how we do the how we manage the hoses. We have a bucket brigade, which teaches them about teamwork on the fire line. And they watch a sandbox demo, which I want to talk about the sandbox again in a second. They can put on the gears. They can try on all of our PPE, our protective equipment, and we talk about what it does and, what's a fire shelter and all those good things. But at the end of it, when they complete their passport, they earn a yellow helmet that says Junior Wildland Firefighter. And our helmets are yellow too. So we don't wear like red or anything. We wear yellow, so they get to match us, which is pretty cute.
Is there an age limit for who can be a junior?
I mean, I have the helmets in my office and they don't fit me, unfortunately. But you
I'll
can
have to get specially fitted
Get
helmets.
bobby pins or
There you
something.
go.
Yeah.
You know what?
Customize it.
You can just have it in your
We'll
office.
put it up on the wall.
Yeah, Grace is a junior
with a plaque
wildland
underneath
firefighter.
it.
Yeah.
Even though you've done nothing.
I've done nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But now I know so much. So
Yeah. We talked to a lot of groups on Hello Hillsborough that, kind of hide behind the scenes and work really hard and do a lot, but it's not always something the public gets to see firsthand. So to be able to go out and see the great work y'all do and the enthusiasm y'all have for it is, I think, another huge benefit for everybody.
And then you leave, you get bit by the firebug at the end.
Yeah.
You could be raising future wildland firefighters out there.
That's the hope, right?
Which I think is really cool.
That is the hope. Yeah.
Any more zingers?
I know I've been on fire this whole time, but
Okay. If people want to know more about conservation or prescribed fire, where's the best place to find all that info?
The best place to start is with our newsletter. It's called The Trailblazer. It goes out once a month, and we include things such as articles about native species. So actually, February is our fire issues. We're talking right now about which fire-dependent species we'll be writing about. We're going to have a Fire Fest feature in there. And you can see all of our upcoming events. So festivals, guided hikes. We've been doing night swims at Lithia Springs this year, which have been really popular.
Very cool.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
So the Trailblazer newsletter is a great kind of one-stop shop for all things outreach in our department.
Sounds easy.
It's super easy, and they've really jumped up the game of the Trailblazer. Like, it looks really good, and everything is clickable. The pictures are really awesome. The stories are really great in there. They're not just blurbs of information. Like, some people are actually writing stories, and it's really
awesome.
worth the read.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, thank you both for being here. I learned a lot, and hopefully our listeners did too. And we'll have to have you back to talk more about this stuff. So
yeah, I'm officially bit by the firebug. So
Perfect.
I'm going to be out there with you guys.
We're going to get her out of here. I'm sorry.
I'm going to start a fire any second.
Oh, man.
Hello, Hillsborough.
Man, it doesn't even sound like it's an option. Like, this is something that has to be done to
Especially in Florida. It sounds like I mean, 40 to 50 burns a year really shocked me.
That's weekly almost on average. That's crazy.
I know. I did not expect. I mean, I learned a ton I knew a little bit going in about prescribed fire, but I feel like I learned so much more.
Well, I just didn't know the impact, I guess, that it has on everything around it. He was saying, you'll go back to a burn site. What do you say? A day later, 2 days later, and there's growth already on the ground. That's incredible.
No, that was probably the fact that blew me away the most, because I was fully expecting it to be years later.
You had so many puns during that, didn't you?
They were all in my head. I had at least, for every one that I said it, there was at least 7 more in my head.
Because
I was fueled up on it.
You dropped the one, and Allison, caught you on that one.
She did.
But one is good.
One is like healthy.
Just like
we were talking about healthy fires. I had healthy puns.
All right. Well, we'll have to get our pun system figured out before the next episode.
Yeah, that's up to us.
But if you want to learn more about prescribed burns and some of the things that Allison and Steve were telling us, you can find all those things on our website, hcfl.gov.
Right. There's actually so much great information on there about why we do burns, how you can sign up for prescribed burn notifications in your area. And if you want to get even more involved, I think we're all going to take a little field trip to the Fire Fest Allison was talking about.
Sounds like a fun time.
It is. I've been. It's a great time.
I have been too. It's really good.
It is really good.
Well, since our show's called Hello Hillsborough, we don't say goodbye here, but what we do say is thank you so much for listening. However you spend your day, we really appreciate you taking the time to listen. Remember to click that subscribe button so you never miss a new episode.
And be sure to follow your favorite county on social media. We're at Hillsborough FL on all the platforms. And for more information on everything Hillsborough County, visit hcfl.gov.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Grace.
See you next time.